Love Island spin-off show Aftersun sparked 427 complaints to Ofcom for last week's episode, citing the slut-shaming of Ekin-Su Kulkulalu and the treatment of Jacques O'Neill in his interview. Host Laura Whitmore and Aftersun producers came under fire on social media for comments the guests made about Ekin-Su and George Tasker's flirtations in Casa Ama. The handling of Jacques, who has openly spoken about quitting the series to protect his mental health, on the show was also criticized after he was shown videos of his ex-partner Paige Thorne kissing Adam Collard. Despite Ekin-Su, 27, repeatedly insisting that nothing had happened between her and George in Casa Ama. Once again Ekin-Su swore that nothing happened with George and it seems David doesn't believe her. As Laura burst into laughter, Tom Grennan exclaimed, "It defo happened though, didn't it?" Darren Harriott continued, "She said her head never turned, but I think her hand might have turned, and possibly wrist." Instead of shutting down the comments, some viewers were disappointed to see Laura continuing the conversation, turning to Sian Welby to ask her opinion. Laura brought up the topic on Aftersun and then mediated a conversation between the guest panelists. Laura said, "This angered fans who argued that the guests were slut-shaming Ekin-Su and passing it off as banter, with Laura receiving criticism for encouraging the comments." One viewer tweeted, "It's shameful that a national network has so little awareness, and is normalizing sexism. Aftersun especially was a disgrace tonight." Another pointed out, "Laura also crying, feminism, when people said she only got the Love Island Aftersun job because her husband does the voiceover, yet encouraging everyone to basically slut-shame Ekin-Su." White women. A third echoed, "Let's be real, the producers won't make them apologize to Ekin-Su when they have Laura Whitmore basically slut-shaming her on Aftersun." A fourth said, "Appalled by at Love Island Aftersun at the Whitmore adding fuel to the situation about Ekin-Su." Love Island, the 12th of July 129. The majority of complaints related to Adam entering the villa, and Jacques' well-being in the lead-up to and during his departure from the villa. Love Island, the 15th of July. 167. The majority of complaints related to footage of Ekin-Su and George during Casa Ama. Love Island, the 17th of July. 2,481 complaints related to alleged misogynistic behavior by some of the male contestants. Love Island Aftersun, the 17th of July. 427. The majority of complaints related to comments made about Ekin-Su and the treatment of Jacques during his interview. Love Island, the 18th of July. 413 complaints related to alleged bullying and misogynistic behavior from some of the male contestants. And it doesn't change the fact that Laura Whitmore chose to encourage slut-shaming of Ekin-Su on Aftersun, which is Ofcom complaint worthy.